talk. For the senior citizen, it's very difficult for them to discuss their ideas with people for their growth, for community's growth. Hence, they are left behind with only one option, and that is to sit on their doorsteps and discuss whatever the idea they have with their neighbors only. There are hardly any medical facility available over here. If an elderly person, if he or she falls sick, and God forbid, if there is an emergency case, it is very difficult for the ambulance to enter the lane. And in that scenario, people have to, on their feet, they take the patient out and reach out to the nearest possible facility. Talking about the basic medical aid, well, that is also a challenge here.
मेरा नाम है खातून भी है। मैं इधर धाराई में रहती हूँ। मेरे घर के पास पूरा गंदगी रहता, कचरा साफ नहीं होता। बच्चे लोग को लेके जाने के लिए, लेके आने के लिए तकलीफ हो रहा, सफाई नहीं हो रहा और मच्छर बिच्छर इतना काट रहा, इतना गंदगी फैल रहा इधर, इतना बीमार सामार गिर रहा इधर। ऐसा जान आने को बारिश का टाइम में इसका टाइम भी तकलीफ हो रहा है इधर। हम लोग शाम को भी बैठते, गर्म होएगा तो घर के पास बैठते, इधर अपना घर के पास बैठते और इतना गंदगी, इतना बास भी आता, इतना गंदगी भी फैलाई जाता और बच्चे लोग को लेके जाने के लिए, बच्चे लोग को लेके बैठने के लिए भी नहीं, बातचीत करने के लिए भी इधर बैठेंगे तो बहुत बात आता है।
Well, at last I can say, in Dharavi, old age is not a phase of rest in life. It brings another test of endurance for these old age people. Well, in the struggle continues till their last breath. And that is Dharavi for you.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
Some places feel like they've been waiting for you, where every piece speaks of legacy, from diamonds that celebrate ambition to festive gold that honors tradition. LD Sons.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला. भारत की अपनी दुकान, इंडिया सोना,
अपने देश का सामान, इंडिया सोना, इंडिया सोना,
इंडिया सोना. MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का.
MDH की देगी मिर्च.
In a shocking turn of events over the South China Sea, 2 US Navy planes crashed into the ocean during what should have been normal training on the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier. The near simultaneous losses involved an MH-60R Seahawk helicopter and an F-18F Super Hornet. Both aircraft operate with highly integrated avionics that depend on accurate satellite navigation, data link connectivity to the carrier.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Monday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavinson. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, we put the spotlight on the Anil Ambani files. For the first time, details of the entire investigation that has been carried out by the Enforcement Directorate. And mind you, this is not just about corporate loans. It is about public money that has been looted. That's the direct allegation leveled against Anil Ambani. And the other big story coming in about a fake scientist. All this and much more in this edition of This Is Exclusive. But up first, let me take you to the headlines we're tracking at this hour. As trouble mounts for Anil Ambani, Republic accesses 60 pictures of crores worth of properties frozen by the Enforcement Directorate. Enforcement Directorate attaches properties worth additional 4,000 crore rupees in Anil Ambani money laundering case. Air India Boeing 777 en route Delhi hits with technical snag. Sources say low quality engine oil was detected. Army conducts exercise Marujwala to validate multi-domain synergy. Trump reveals Pakistan testing nuclear weapons. Defense US decision to resume testing. Ladies and gentlemen, starting this edition with some breaking news now coming in. The latest with regards to the attachment of assets linked to Anil Ambani. Earlier, 3,000 crore worth assets were already seized by the Enforcement Directorate. Now, we are picking up more details. Anil Ambani's assets worth about 4,000 crore rupees have now been attached by the Enforcement Directorate. This comes shortly after assets valued at 3,000 crore rupees was previously attached in connection with the ongoing probe into the alleged financial irregularities. Now, let me just quickly take you through some of the details that we are picking up about the fresh attachment that has been done by the Enforcement Directorate. In fact, we are being told that 132-acre land of Dhirubhai Ambani Knowledge City in Navi Mumbai worth about 4,462 crore rupees in the Reliance Communication Limited bank fraud case has now been attached by the Enforcement Directorate. A cumulative attachment of properties in the group now stands at about 7,500 crore rupees. We'll just make that change. It is 7,500 crore rupees worth the properties that have now been attached. We were given to understand that it was about 7,000, but now officially coming in from the Enforcement Directorate that it is about 7,500 crore rupees. In fact, the Enforcement Directorate's Special Task Force headquarters has attached over 132 acres of land in Dhirubhai Ambani Knowledge City, Navi Mumbai, that is worth about 4,462 crore rupees under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Earlier today, remember, there was information that we had just got that the Enforcement Directorate had attached 42 properties worth about 3,083 crore rupees in the bank fraud cases of Reliance Communications Limited, Reliance Commercial Financial Limited and Reliance Home Finance Limited. I'm going to take you through the details of this entire investigation coming in, but the big news coming in is the fifth attachment order, which has now been accessed by Republic TV. Over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to break it down for all our viewers who are tuning in right now. What does this really mean? And why should it really matter to you and I? Because it is, after all, public money that has been looted. I'm going to explain that in a short while from now. Ladies and gentlemen, Anil Ambani, in fact, was once the sixth richest person in the world with a net worth about $42 billion back in 2008. And he has experienced a dramatic reversal of fortune, now facing intense scrutiny from the Enforcement Directorate. In fact, what we are given to understand is that he had inherited a vast business back in 2005, encompassing telecommunications, power and financial services. His early success propelled him to global prominence. Now, the recent Enforcement Directorate investigation, however, marks a stark contrast to his once glorious standing in the corporate world. Today, the Enforcement Directorate has slapped provisional attachments on over 40 properties connected to Anil Ambani's groups, with a combined worth topping over 7,500 crore rupees. So what is this case exactly about? Where is Anil Ambani? More details coming up, but first take a look at this detailed report.
The Enforcement Directorate has frozen over 42 high-value properties linked to Anil Ambani Group, worth a staggering 3,084 crore rupees. From the billionaire's lavish Pali Hill bungalow in Mumbai to prime commercial plots in the heart of Delhi, no asset is off limits in this widening money laundering crackdown. Since 2010, The Anil Ambani Group borrowed thousands of crores from Indian banks. The ED's probe reveals a shocking pattern. Loans meant for one company were funneled to repay others, routed through related parties, and even parked in mutual funds, all in blatant violation of sanctioned terms. ED sleuths say over 10,000 crore rupees in total public money was diverted through more than 35 banks, masked as corporate loans and intercompany deposits. Shell entities controlled by the group shuffled billions in minutes from housing finance books bloated with risky corporate bets. The prime catchers include Anil Ambani's Pali Hill residence in Bandra West in Mumbai, a 3.7-acre Anil Ambani Group centre plot in New Delhi, 6 flats in Noida, 6 immovable properties in Andhra Pradesh, office and residential premises in Mumbai. Spread across 8 states, these residential units, commercial spaces and land parcels were valued by government appraisers. But what does it mean for Anil Ambani? With more raids looming, the saga could unravel further. As ED issues further attachment orders, legal challenges escalate for Anil Ambani.
Well, in fact, documents that have been accessed by Republic TV reveals that about 5 banks have declared loan accounts linked to Anil Ambani as fraud, with the total dues amounting to about 19,694 crore rupees. The investigation has reportedly shows that funds were basically siphoned off abroad through foreign remittances, raising serious concerns over the misuse of loans. 5 attachment orders and 42 images of Anil Ambani's assets have also been accessed by Republic TV, which is essentially part of this entire probe. In fact, I'm going to take you through every details of this entire investigation that has been carried out. First, the focus is how exactly the funds were basically siphoned off. And it was basically siphoned off and sent abroad. In fact, it turns out that the focus was essentially on 2 companies, and the money that was received between 2017 and 2019 turned to become an NPA in the month of December in the year 2019 itself. Let me bring in my colleague Alisha Dyer, who's joining us on this broadcast. Alisha, first with regards to the latest attachment order that is accessed by Republic TV, this is the 5th attachment order that has been passed, and Republic TV is in exclusive possession of the attachment order as well as details that now it turns out that it's the land in Navi Mumbai worth about 4,000 crore rupees that has been attached.
Well, Shravan, we know there are multiple assets that has been seized by the Enforcement Directorate this morning, and we know that the Enforcement Directorate has attached the asset worth rupees 3,000 crore, which is linked to the Reliance Group chairman. And this attachment of his asset has been made as a part of money laundering investigation against this group company. What we know so far, and the documents that has been accessed by Republic, which reveals that 5 banks have declared loan accounts linked to Anil Ambani as fraud. And this is with the total dues amounting to rupees 19,694 crores. The investigation has also showed that the funds were siphoned abroad through foreign remittance, raising serious concern over misuse of loans. Not only this, but there are 4 attachment orders and 42 images of Anil Ambani asset have also been accessed, which is a part of the probe. As the further investigation which has been ongoing with the Enforcement Directorate, where we know that ED has alleged that the public money was looted, with Anil Ambani linked companies receiving around 10,000 crore in public fund. And sources have also indicated that this fund originating from mutual investment and other public sources were routed to Ambani's firm through complex, and there are network of transactions. So these are the new details that has been emerged, and as we mentioned that there are multiple properties which not only in Mumbai, which is in Mumbai's Bandra Pali Hill, but also in Noida, in also Delhi. There are multiple assets that has been seized by the Enforcement Directorate.
Shall request you to stay on with us because we have a 4-part breaking news now coming in. That was the first part of the investigation that has been carried out by the Enforcement Directorate. Let me now take you to the details of how this money that we're essentially talking about, which was siphoned off by Anil Ambani and the groups linked to Anil Ambani. It turns out that this was basically public money. The Enforcement Directorate, in fact, has now alleged that public money was looted, with Anil Ambani linked companies receiving around 10,000 crore rupees in public funds. Sources indicating that these funds originated from mutual investments and other public sources, and they were basically routed to Ambani's firms through a complex and a circuitous network of transactions. The Enforcement Directorate claims that 2 of his companies borrowed from as many as 35 banks, misusing public money and engaging in what is being described as a massive financial fraud involving large-scale diversion of funds. I'll try and explain this while I also get back my colleague Alisha. The focus right now is with regards to how, Alisha, public money was actually looted. The documents that have been accessed by Republic TV basically goes on to indicate that it was basically public money that was being looted. The Enforcement Directorate in its provisional attachment order basically indicates the following. The very fact that this was mutual funds that were essentially being diverted. I'm going to take you through some of the details that we have pertaining to the mutual funds that were basically being rerouted, and the very fact that bank statements clearly goes on to indicate the following. RHFL and RCFL borrowing was for more than 35 banks and financial institutions. Large parts of these loans were not repaid. Majority of these loans were diverted. The diversion was done by onward lending to group companies. The routing was through many shell companies, shell entities effectively controlled by the Reliance Anil Ambani Group. Public funds were basically moved under the cover of corporate loans and intercorporate deposits. Money was passed from one company to another. Bank statements showed a very fast movement of funds. Very large amount of money was basically moved between accounts of different entities within minutes. And RHFL, which is essentially a housing finance company, its loan book shifted heavily to corporate loans. In fact, let me just go across to my colleague Alisha. Alisha, it turns out that the Enforcement Directorate is now making a sensational allegation that the money that was basically diverted or siphoned off was actually public money, money that was raised through mutual funds.
Well, yes, Shravan, and that is something has been claimed by Enforcement Directorate, clearly mentioning that there are thousands of crore rupees that has been siphoned off, and this is the fund from the public. It is not only that, because during the course of investigation, where the ED has found that loan linked to Anil Ambani's company were disbursed even before the formal sanction. So there was no formal sanction that was given, but still the money was siphoned out and it was taken. And this is what the evidence pointing to backdated documents and pre-decided payments. Not only this, but investigators have also uncovered instances where large corporate loans were processed and released within a single day, bypassing standard banking protocols. And ED has also alleged that funds were not utilized for their intended purpose. After the series of the evidence that has been come forward before the Enforcement Directorate, after which we see that there is an action on Anil Ambani case where there are multiple properties linked to now, initially where it was 3,000 crore fund that was a property, the assets that was seized by Enforcement Directorate, and now it is overall what we have been seeing, it's around 7,000 crore property that is and the assets that has been seized by the ED.
Well, Alisha, I'll request you to stay on with us because we're just getting in more and more details of this entire investigation that has been carried out so far. As we pointed out, that this is after all public money that we are essentially talking about that was basically siphoned off. In fact, Surat-based shell companies were essentially used to divert the funds to Dubai, is what we are being told. And an international hawala racket of crores of rupees have now been unearthed by the Enforcement Directorate. Now, the Enforcement Directorate's investigation has found that loans that have been linked to Anil Ambani's companies were disbursed even before formal sanction actually came in, with evidence essentially pointing towards backdated documents, pre-decided payouts. Investigators have also uncovered instances where large corporate loans were processed and released within a single day, bypassing standard banking protocols. The ED further alleges that the funds were not utilized for their intended purposes. I'm going to take you through some of the examples, in fact, coming in of the details as to how the funds were basically diverted. It turns out that they were backdated. There were no formal communication that has essentially taken place, and the very fact that this was done in a manner that without much sanction, formal approval actually coming in. We have now got details of some of the transactions that have taken place. Crest Logistics and Engineers Private Limited. In fact, 7 crore rupees disbursed on 20th of April 2018. Sanction and agreement actually came in on 26th of April 2018, that too 6 days early. Species Commerce and Trade Private Limited, 49 crore rupees disbursed on 21st of August 2018. Sanction came on the 22nd of August 2018. WorldCom Solutions Limited, 49 crore rupees disbursed on 21st of August. Sanction on 22nd of August. RPL Solar Power Private Limited, 49 crore rupees disbursed on 21st of August. Sanction came on 22nd of August. Similarly, RPL Sunlight Power Private Limited, 99 crore rupees disbursed 27th of March, that the sanction actually came in. If Alisha is still there with us, I just want to go across to Alisha. Alisha, this is quite bizarre that even before the sanction actually comes in, the money was actually disbursed. At least 5 such instances, and the details that we've just got from the documents here, I can at least count 5 such instances where the sanction comes in later, the disbursal of money takes place before that.
Well, yeah, Shravan, and with the documents that you have access now, we have an official statement from the Enforcement Directorate clearly mentioning there are important points that has been mentioned by Enforcement Directorate, clearly stating that there are large parts of the loan were not repaid. Not only this, but public funds moved under the cover of corporate loans and inter-corporate deposit, and money that was passed from one company to another. Not only this, but bank statement shows very fast movement of funds, and there was large amount have been moved between one company to the finance company, as we can see the loan that has been mentioned about here, and it's clearly been mentioned clearly been mentioned by Enforcement Directorate. These are the public funds which they have been taken under the pretext of the finance corporate, but now this money of the public funds, this was given to the companies, have been looted by Anil Ambani, and that is what has been mentioned about by the Enforcement Directorate. But as we see now, the action has been initiated, the property has been seized, the assets had been taken over, and it's not only the Mumbai which is an official resident. We can see that the Pali Hill in Bandra is the official resident, but also the Reliance Company Center which is in Delhi has also been under the radar. And not only this, but ED has been moving fast with the further actions as far as the scam by the Anil Ambani company is concerned.
Alisha, I'll just request you to stay on with us because there is more development coming in with regards to the fresh attachment of about another 4,000 crore rupees. Alisha, can you hear me?
Yes, Shravan. So yes, as we have already mentioned that there are around 7,000 crore attachment that has been made by the Enforcement Directorate, 3,000 crore in the morning, and now there has also been fresh attachment that is being made by the Enforcement Directorate, and there is also details that we have also procured from our sources in ED, where ED has mentioned that they have attached over 132 acres of land of Dhirubhai Ambani Knowledge City in Navi Mumbai, which is in Maharashtra, and and this is worth over rupees 4,462 crores in the Reliance Communication Limited bank fraud case. So the details that we are gathering from the Enforcement Directorate, as you have shared, it has clearly been mentioned that ED has earlier attached 42 properties, which is worth around 3,083 crores in the bank fraud case, and now there is another attachment that has been made, which is over the 132 acres of land of Dhirubhai Ambani Knowledge City in Navi Mumbai, which worth crore around 4,462 crore, which means around 7,000 crore attachment, asset attachment that is being made by the Enforcement Directorate in a day.
Thank you very much, Alicia, for getting us the latest details. Well, shifting focus now to the other sensational story coming in, and this time it's from Mumbai. It's about the arrest of a 60-year-old man. It emerges in the case of the fake Pak scientist Akhtar Hussain Ahmed, who was basically arrested a month ago. But there are more details coming in as to how he was basically utilized by foreign agencies. The 60-year-old man who was arrested for posing as a scientist of the Bhabha Atomic Research Center, in fact, received crores in foreign funds for exchanging sensitive nuclear data. He was arrested last month by the Mumbai police for traveling across the country while falsely claiming to be a Pak scientist. More than 10 maps and purported data related to nuclear weapons were also seized from Hussaini. He is a resident of Jharkhand's Jamshedpur. Several fake passports, Aadhaar, PAN cards and a fake Bak ID have also recovered from him, while one of the IDs identified him as Ali Raza Hussain, the other named him Alexander Palmer. His brother Adil was also arrested in Delhi. Now, we've got more details coming in from by way of sources that Akhtar actually made. Can we have the breaking news now coming in? Akhtar, in fact, made 40 trips. Now, Akhtar Hussain Ahmed, who allegedly posed as a Pak scientist, investigations showed that he travelled abroad multiple times using a forged passport, visiting Iran nearly 20 times, Saudi Arabia around 15 times. He, along with his brother Adil Hussain, reportedly operated several bank accounts, one of which showed large foreign transactions dating back to 2001. Officials say the foreign remittances to Ahmed began as early as 1996, with irregular inflows later traced to unidentified sources from US, Iran and Iraq. Let me go across to my colleague Meenakshi, who's getting us the latest details. Meenakshi, you've spoken to your sources in the Mumbai Police Crime Branch. It turns out that multiple trips were basically made to Iran, about 20 such trips. What more details are you picking up?
Shocking details we have got, Shavan, as you mentioned, that he made 40 foreign trips, including his visit to Iran, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, United States, Russia also. And the main important thing is that he shared nuclear diagrams to Iranian contacts, and for this he received huge money in early 1990s. In the year 1992, he received lakhs of money, which today's value is in crore. And very important thing is that he was receiving dollars from US and UAE, dirhams from UAE. After getting dollars and dirham, he invested those money in UAE, a new venture with his brother. And now investigator suspect that he shared very important things, very important information of our nation to others, to Iranian contacts, and the agencies are now proving whether Akhtar has direct link to any foreign intelligence or not, and intelligence network he was connected. They are proving on it also, and he acted independently as a guise of scientist consultant. So very important, his interrogation is very important. We are getting information from top sources that he was direct contact with international links also, and we got to know that he and his brother visited Pakistan. And another case of 2003, his Pakistan link also come out. So all this angle now Mumbai Crime Branch is probing is very important and shocking details of this case. Shravan.
Meenakshi, just a quick question before I let you go. With regards to some nuclear diagrams, weaponry diagrams were also shared with Iran. Is that what you're picking up? Could you just elaborate on what details are you picking up from your sources within the crime branch? Because this is quite a sensational development.
Yes, absolutely. A senior officer told me that this nuclear diagram, which is very important for our nation, for our country, is shared by this person to Iranian contacts who was in contact with him. They are probing that only, and he said he told to me that this nuclear diagram is very important that time in early 90s, which is very important for our country, and that time he shared this nuclear diagram to Iran, and for this he received huge money in that time, and this money in lakhs. So they are probing all details. They are now this matter is now under investigation. They are particularly this officer told me this is very important thing they gathered, and they got to know from him which diagram he shared, what about this diagram, all details they are probing actually is under investigation now, Shravan.
Thank you very much, Meenakshi, for getting us the latest details. This is just the tip of the iceberg, a story that we'll be tracking very closely. Well, that's all that we could pack in this edition of This Is Exclusive. Coming up, trending with my colleague Ayuna.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार.
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला.
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ. डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा. अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ. सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने.
भारत की अपनी दुकान इंडिया सोना.
अपने देश का सामान इंडिया सोना, इंडिया सोना,
इंडिया सोना.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात. वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है. अरे मेरे राजा.
Some places feel like they've been waiting for you, where every piece speaks of legacy, from diamonds that celebrate ambition to festive gold that honors tradition. LD Sons.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल. ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े. क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
India is all set to conduct a large-scale tri-services military exercise named Exercise Trishul along the western border near the disputed Sir Creek area. This exercise will involve the Army, Navy and Air Force and is being called unprecedented in both scale and operational complexity. Satellite images analyzed by defense experts show that the airspace reserved for the exercise will extend up to 28,000 feet. This is unusual for a routine military drill and indicates the seriousness with which India is approaching this operation. The exercise will run from October 30 to November.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
smartphones to your smart televisions, trending stories are breaking the internet. Tonight, we start off with celebrating the Indian women's cricket team clinching its maiden World Cup champions title. Cheers for which are erupting throughout the nation. Accolades have been streaming in from across the world. But what's truly taken the internet by storm are the playing 11's own posts acknowledging their milestone achievement. Next, Indian women truly seem to be making their mark on the globe as the other end, Indian Paralympic rifle shooter Avni Lekhara wins gold at the Parachuting World Cup at Dubai. And speaking of what's viral and trending, let's not forget the latest stir in the New York City mayoral elections race as US President Donald Trump hits headlines for reportedly expressing support for candidate Andrew Cuomo, for which fellow mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani promptly hit back via post on X, leaving citizens in splits. We have this and a lot more packed in this episode for you. I'm Oyana Mitra and this is Trending. First,